He's been able to push past that. He's been able to conquer it.
Well, I mean, good for Philadelphia. You do have Elk, right? If Neptuno was not able to go, Elk a very solid main support. So Atlanta something a little bit different. So triple DPS with an Ana here to kick things off.
The Tracer for EQO. Already probing here. Interesting to see Poco on that Sombra. Definitely a different look for Enotus already by the Philadelphia Fusion. Scouting, having been completed, they are going to swap up here. They know they're going to be going up against a very durable composition.
I think maybe originally they thought that Atlanta would come out with something different, but the reason that Philadelphia doesn't fight that is because if they go and fight it, most likely they end up losing with the composition that they had. They give Atlanta the point and ult charge, and then you have to swap, and now you're resetting all of your ultimate charge as well. So you're way behind in terms of ultimate economy.
Sato just gets bubbled pretty quickly. Doesn't get aggressive. LA is down already. Sato face to face, or Hammer in this case it was. Poco took a huge amount of damage himself, and Ersti gets knocked out on the map. The Fran very charged up, he's trying to maintain the front line here, but Poco's going to get knocked out by Poco. That's going to be fun as the series goes on. The Fusion select the correct composition. They don't risk losing that first fight. Yes, they give up a quarter of the capture percent, but now they're in control.
Dano and Layer just a little bit too far away from the rest of his teammates. They're not able to keep him up, and then they just start isolating players one by one, rolling onto the point. Hey, look, that 28% looks like nothing now because if you would have let Atlanta take that first fight, they're probably sitting here at 50% with ultimates, which looks great for Atlanta. Really heads up play early from Philly.
First ult up here is EQO's rally. Philly will be able to rely on that one, but right now it's going to be the front line just butting heads a little bit. Here's the speed boost coming forward. Shield was given over to one side, and when he picks up Atlanta again, the first casualty is 2 fights in a row, and then the rest of the range will crumble, lacking the backbone that keeps them up.
And how many times in this meta do we see, the team that uses that speed boost and engages pushes on in, and you almost want to force the other team to react, force them to make mistakes, come in with your own game plan, force the issue on the opposing team, let them be the one that backs up, makes mistakes right there. Philly, they meet them at the choke, they push on through, there's nothing Atlanta can do.
Again from the high ground, Earth Shatter here for both sides. The Transcendence is also match fight in terms of ultimates that will be brought to bear. He's going by Port that round. Transcendence will be still committed to try to keep him up. Earthshatter's blocked by the shield on. Poco's going to have to wait his turn. Poco in, pushes him back, and he QO's forward on the ground now himself. Sells the truck over the top. Nothing from that one, but Massa already felt Sato a wild charge to deal the Lucio kill for the Fusion. And they'll keep pushing on. Here's the sound barrier, the self-destruct in the back. It doesn't find any targets, and the Fusion all over this one. 80% on the clock for them, and they will maintain control.
Atlanta is forced, Massa to hold on to his own sound barrier. You don't want to blow it there because then the game is definitely over. At least this point, 100% would go over to Philly. You'd have nothing in this fight. So you need to hold on to the sound barrier. You think you keep the Fran alive long enough to get this grab. They got to get a point touch here within 5 seconds.
Sound barrier is what Atlanta's going to need to make themselves durable. And after this push, there it is. They push forward. Speed boost as well. They're all over Philly. That's the Earthshatter. It was a knockdown there. It looks like the Fran was put on his rear end. Poco got rid of him, but they trade the Reinhardt as a result. Carpe, great focus fire from Atlanta mid-fight to try and take down that Zarya. And now it is going to be EQO caught up amidst a roiling mass of red. And it's not the blood of the Fusion, no, it's the raiments of the rain. The boombox falling there will clean up this fight. Stay in it.
That did not look good when I thought as the Fran goes down, right, and he's going to have that big Graviton surge, and he drops. I'm like, oh, this is going to be Phillies for the taking, but Henlayer with that rally keeps everybody up. Kodak's picking up some kills, earning that Transcendence again. Now you take a look at some of these ultimates. You're going to have the Transcendence to block that Graviton surge that comes in from Carpe. They're going to try and combo, the grab plus the self-destruct from Poco. A lot of tools for Atlanta here. That's going to be their grab early. A lot of players stuck inside of it. And then they're not, if Philly's just going to lose this fight, they're just going to back on out. Nothing they could do there. Nice grab from DeFran.
It took a lot of damage early on there, Philly. Usually if that grab comes in and maybe, there's a way of sustaining maybe a rally from your team, you can keep fighting, but Philadelphia are happy enough with that one, knowing that Atlanta have had to use some of those resources. The Graviton obviously being a real fight changer. Carpe has his available now though, and Philadelphia are poised to retake.
They have to be careful, Philly, to not use the grab and then have Sato go in to try and make an impact. That'll be self-destruct to go through it. Connects with EQO. That is horrible for the Philly Fusion.
He was supposed to be protected by his front line, but perhaps some of the explosion managed to creep through. And that's going to be really annoying for Philly, because now they push this round to a one-fight affair, and the Fusion are caught here. They have to stand and fight. This is not what they wanted to let. They have to get some more Fusion to try and stay in it, but they make one crucial misstep at the final moments, and the Atlanta Reign, they capitalize. Poco desperately trying to get onto the point just to stall out here, but he's nothing but a small distraction, a trifling affair. The Atlanta Reign will get that first round.
I think Atlanta, towards the end there, they caught Philly off guard. So EQO drops for Philadelphia, and they just kind of like back out into that mega health pack room. And I don't think they expected Atlanta to get so aggressive. And Poco comes around the corner and lands like a 4-player shatter, and they just run through them.
Oh, he was split. He wasn't behind his...
boom.
Beautiful. That's nasty. Was that inlay? I think maybe the shield bash or whip shot putting into the explosion either way. Lovely setup. And it's moments like that you often see them. A lot of these displacement abilities become very important dealing. With these heavy tank compositions or self-destructs, knocking players into the blast that otherwise be safe from. That's why that Lucio play has been such a premium lately. It's so important to secure those very difficult kills otherwise to get.
I like this setup from Atlanta coming out. You have the Orisa, really great shield of time, and the double sniper. And Lair takes out Sato right off the bat. Philly is going to have to back out. So, you're able to control the point. Right here, if you're Philly, they're going to make a change. But the Winston can't really do much. Jumping into the Orisa, just a ton of damage. You have the Fran there.
Oh, it's time to pony up, boys!
I like this. This is what I like. So, Atlanta comes out with this comp, and Philly, they lose the first fight, but they're like, we don't mind playing this type of game. We'll bring our own double sniper out.
That was all Philly last season. Times we don't make a combo. They're double sniper. We thought it was a thing of the past, but now it makes its return. Poker. Ooh, he took heavy damage there, but it was Boombox caught out by the Hulk. Now this fight's already over. Now it's just a cleanup here, and Philly really can't get away quickly enough. They don't have a Lucio in their team composition, so when they do get players picked off, they pretty much just have to feed as quickly as they can.
And Mitch, that's exactly what I was going to bring up, is that when you see Orisa on one side, obviously her shield has great uptime. She's very difficult to take down. You have to get behind the shield to do a lot of that damage. That's where you see Lucio played, against Orisa a lot of the time. You use that speed, you get right past the shield, then you're able to take her out. When you just kind of play this long-range poke, you're just going to keep seeing the Orisas just put shield down after shield down after shield down.
First barrier put down by Sato, disintegrated rather rapidly. And a Sonic Arrow now from the Fusion. They keep tabs on the Rain even though they're inside the cloister on the right side. Now they tentatively move forward. Sato places down a new shield. Here's the Dragon Strike coming through. They're trying to force that front line away. Poco got picked off by Boombox, but he gives up his life to secure the Orisa from the Rain. And Lay was too sharp on that Widowmaker, but he's brought back into the fray. Sato moves forward though. Rain want to run forward over the top of the Fusion, but Equo won't let it happen. Fran goes down, and now the Transcenders. Philadelphia are setting their feet. They want to fight right here.
You have to use the trance to keep EQO alive. As Poco on the point, he's really weak. You see Sato switch over to Wrecking Ball. You're going to use that to try and get off high ground, land down. Ursa's going to throw his self-destruct, trying to catch the players through the doorway. Both supports for Philly. They back on out. This should be the last fight, though, for Philadelphia. And they lose Carpe.
I don't know if there's going to be a Resurrect available from Neptuno there. He does have Valkyrie. Okay, brings Carpe back.
Heroes never die.
We're going to make a 1v1. Reinstate this. Now the sound barrier, though. When Leia gets out of trouble, he wants to look for Neptuno, but he's a little bit too slippery to catch currently. Perhaps a better target might be served with Carpe. Met him at the door. Takes him down, and Kodak's missing as well. That's two for Carpe. Self-destruct. But Poe's Bongo is down. The supercharger is removed, and Carpe bends into a little bit of close quarters. Now it's all Philly set up on this point. Atlanta with just Lucio and really the Diva just to hold on. Massa goes down. Poco deals with him, and finally the Fusion managed to get a foothold in this round.
Yeah, so Sato, when he goes over to Wrecking Ball, he actually tries to go all the way to the backline and put some pressure on both snipers. It's a really nice sound barrier by Massa, connects with everybody, but then Carpe just comes on the flank here. Able to pick up some close range kills. That is filthy.
Yeah, and he gets a second as well. But here's the setup. Poco just trying to keep tabs on the point, but they've lost EQO again. A pick off may decide the fate of this fight. Dragon Strike comes through, and Poco has to get away very quickly. He could have lost his net to that ability. Boombox is missing. Defran now hunting for targets. Double back and take a left turn at Albuquerque for the health pack. Sato is pressuring point, but there's Carpe. Sato cleverly communicating that to Carpe. He knew where his opponent would be. Now Carpe trying to get away. He knows that he'll be run down by Urstra eventually. And there's running out of options for Philadelphia Fusion. Sato sets up a minefield, but he can't step onto the point. They've brought back Carpe though. Philadelphia throwing all their eggs in the Widowmaker basket right now. And They need to try and retake here. And lands down. Sato's getting aggressive. That's his second one. Shield up on the point for Pop, he does get Sato, but the Transcendence is now brought to bear. EQO recalls. Philadelphia with the numbers on the point. Ursa over the edge, and they will just stay in the running.
Oh, Neptuno using Valkyrie, able to fly up in the sky, keep Sato alive. He's able to pick up 2, and then he actually takes out 1 player with his weapon. And then you have Boombox come in with that Transcendence. The Fran now will play Tracer, so you're going to have that Tracer to go behind enemy lines, and they're actually going to have Popo switch over to Winston. So you want to dive, put some pressure on Carpe here. Allow N-Layer to hit some easier shots.
I'm taking care of him.
Fairly tentative position from N-Layer. Not very aggressive. Spotting EQO out. Now knows that he's caught in the Widowmaker's sights. Hard to find a clean shot with all these shields on the point right now, but Atlanta, this is dangerous. They're threatening to retake the point. Carpe opens up the fight though. Atlanta is down. First blood now to Philadelphia Fusion, but Carpe will be pressured away. It doesn't matter though. Mus is down to a pulse bomb elsewhere. And Ursa's over the edge once more. Atlanta must regroup for one last crack at this. But Philly looking dominable.
Fran ends up using the pulse bomb here. He's going to fall pretty late, so 94% and counting. It looks like, it's going to be very tough for Atlanta to get a touch here. Popo's going to go to Wrecking Ball, barely gets on the point.
Boombox might be threatened though. Drops it on top, and so much damage from Popo here.
You lose Sato, you lose Boombox. Players from Atlanta getting on the point.
This is dangerous times indeed. Ursa now just trying to make sure Philly stay inside that small room. EQ always know where to go. They're trying to get a resurrect here, but elsewhere N-Layer is down. They brought Boombox to the fight. Carpe with 2. That's what Philly were looking for here. This is how they stay in this fight. Transcendence now over the point for Boombox, and Ursa on high is desuited. The Wrecking Ball now coming in for Sato is more than happy to bring that one right on down. Sound barrier only really for Popo here, and the Fusion maintain control, but it's not over yet. Popo drops back in again. Popo pressure down. It doesn't matter. Oh, this is going to be a good map, man. I feel it. What a piece here on the pole.
So the map looks like it's done. And then you had the self-destruct there from Ursa connect with 1. Masa gets 1 as well, and it looked like they may be able to turn things back. Look, the angle. Carpe's so sneaky.
Look what he's doing under pressure as well. 2 players.
They needed 4 players.
He killed 2 players, and then 2 more were committed to dealing with him. That takes so much pressure off of the rest of the Philly Fusion lineup, who were at that time working tooth and nail just to get the point.
I always find it incredible that, obviously, 3 players coming at him. You hit 2 crazy shots. It's just how long you survive as a Widowmaker and Carpe specifically in that type of situation, able to just kind of get creative, go on some flanks, and stay alive for a long time. Philly's gonna switch. It's gonna be the same thing we saw in the first one.
Atlanta coming out with that triple tank, triple support, and Philly don't really want any of it. I mean, it's a little bit tough for Carpe on that McCree to find meaningful ways to, get value. So much healing on Atlanta makes it a little bit tricky. So again, Philly will abdicate the point to Atlanta for that first fight. They don't want to take the risk, which I can appreciate here. They can't really interfere with it as it is being captured, but now they're set up on the high ground. Where to from here?
Obviously, Atlanta wants to fight this close quarter on the point. They're in control, holding the point here. You see the Discords coming down.
Big charge, a lot of aggression. Kodak's pretty safe from his current spot here. Philly haven't managed to break through the front line yet. Atlanta defending this point like they would Helm's Deep. This quarter on the Fran doesn't seem to bother him at all. Poker down to about half, and EQO's taking an absolute battering thus far. We're looking to build up towards the critical mass here. We really want to pull the trigger, and Fran's more than happy to fight. He's well charged.
And Atlanta's going to get their Transcendence a bit faster here than Philadelphia. Both teams just kind of poking and prodding on the point. Nobody really wants to commit until now Atlanta uses the sound barrier.
EQO the first to drop, and they do a great job of cutting Sato off from the rest of the Fusion. He got pooped and bumped around, and there was no one that could save him, not even a life raft. And amidst that fight, Atlanta had control of the point the entire time. So they're up already 54% on capture progress, and they have a bunch of ultimates to do.
I mean, they'll have everything but the sound barrier they use to engage in that fight. You get a few players. You see, teams just kind of bouncing back and forth. There's not really a main healer on any of these compositions that do this. So, Surge, Transcendence comes out, self-destruct as well. Sound barrier here.
Trying to burst down there, but he's actually knocked into the air. He can't land it. Poco is back in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Not a moment too soon either. could do at that point that exhausted all of their ultimates. Self-destructive at the backside was the straw that broke the back.
I mean, Atlanta is still in a very good position here, Mitch. 85%. They don't have any ultimates right now. So what they need to do is they need to try and maybe get a player down like pretty low and then start to push on in, which will force Sato to maybe shatter or EQO to rally, then come back in one of those next fights with an ult advantage.
Should just be EQO rallying, moving forward, Billy trying to force a mistake, get a good shatter. That's two there at least. Erster knocked down. Enle's already fallen. Neptuno, he's in there like swimwear. A 1-for-1 trade and they lose Sato there, so perhaps not the clean fight that we're looking for.
But if you push here, though, EQO is going to have to rally to keep everybody else. So you see Carpe picks up Poco. Now you see Atlanta's going to back out. They kind of got what they wanted. They got both of those ultimates I was talking about out of the way. So they got the Shatter gone. They got Rally gone. They're going to come back. They're going to have their own sound barrier. They're going to have Transcendence. You're going to get closer towards your own Earth Shatter. You're going to be able to build up some of these big ultimates to combo for one really big fight.
And a different through the water stuff. Not really wanting to commit, but now might be the time. Sato, he definitely wanted to brawl. And again, he's extended so far. Boombox desperately tried to keep it alive with the Transcendence. Just a little too late. And now the Rain get aggressive themselves, pushing up. You see Poco has to look on in dismay as the rest of his team and turned into chumps. EQO down to Kodak here. And Atlanta are definitely looking to retake it. So this fight, Neptuno will fall at the end. And that's it.
And obviously a really strong fight there for Atlanta. Even stronger that they hold on to a lot of these ultimates. You got Shatter, Rally, Grab here. The Fran's going to throw the grab down. You get Poco D-Mech. You can't even push through there. You're just stuck.
98%. Philadelphia being kept down completely. It's a shutout. Atlanta Reign. They know when to back away. They know when to fully commit. Really coordinated. Their disengages look fantastic, and they will, as a result, take the first map of this series away to Paul. Love to see that coordination. Philly Fusion have much to answer for when we return from this break.
Winnable is such an important call because a lot of times in Overwatch it's critical to recognize when a fight is lost.
The most important thing when I hear winnable is like carry on playing, because maybe you think the fight's lost so you kind of give up, but then when you hear winnable, like you try to make more plays, you go in, maybe use ults or whatever.
When it seems like losing or the situation in game get bad, we can just say winnable to make people like high up again, and like, yeah, we can win. We can just do our best and we can win.
Recognizing when a fight is winnable is when kills have gone both ways. The fight is scrappy, but if a player on your team believes that you can commit and win, it's a good idea to go for it, because the reward can really pay for it if that call is made at the right time.
absolutely an important concept to explore here. Is we talk so much as casters about how much teams are committing to one fight, especially with these triple tank, triple support setups. Matt, so important. Who comes out of the fight ahead in ultimate economy, or if it's worth investing things like gravitons and the like to win.
Yeah, and I think Atlanta played ultimate economy perfectly on that final point. They came in with that one fight. It's really when they got the rally and the shatter out, they were able to back out. And then Sato's the first one to drop in the next fight. And we've talked throughout the week this far about how important it is when your main tank is alive and the other main tank on the other side is not. You just speed boost, you get that Reinhardt, all supported up. There's nothing the other kid can do.
Yeah, it's worth... We have to be a little bit critical of Sato. I think, with how disjointed he was for the rest of his team. Darko comes in here for Enlair. Substitution on the side of the Atlanta Reign. And, I mean, this team's looking great. I really have to say that there must have a very clear calling architecture because their disengages look excellent. This is actually like an accusation we leveled at the Dallas Fuel, for example. We've explored the last couple of days is that, knowing when to get in, get out of these fights, they're not always on the ball with. Sometimes they're caught out. A lot of teams do this, especially if their comms are shaky. Atlanta don't seem to suffer from that particular ailment.
No, and you think that it's kind of surprising. Like you would think some of these teams that come back with really similar rosters from last year would have a huge advantage in terms of teamwork over a lot of the expansion teams coming through. But the expansion teams have looked really solid, putting together these strong rosters in a short time period and coming in, building that teamwork, that chemistry, and taking it to a lot of the old season ones.
And again, a lot of the players that are originally hailing from the European region are demonstrating they work very well inside that framework of 3 tankers, 3 support. They look very good. Obviously, I was reminded by Paris Eternal's GM yesterday. They're very good at playing tanks. Thank you for that, Michael.
Reminded by everybody from Europe that they like to play tanks.
Yes,
very good.
Reminded by everyone was like, I can't believe you bet against this. I'm like, yeah, how predictions work, man. I wear it on the chin. So Philly away on defense here, and again, nothing crazy about the composition. It is the triple tank that features the Winston instead of the Reinhardt here. Is this auto defense? Would you rather see Reinhardt sort of, on this map?
It's tough. I think if Philly were to come out running Reinhardt, I think that's when you see Atlanta go back into spawn and swap to, maybe like a quad or triple DPS.
Just punish the immobility.
And then I also think that's why you see Philadelphia not use something like an Orisa on defense, because if they saw the Orisa, Atlanta probably goes back to the spawn and swap. So having the Winston in protects you against a lot of those DPS heroes the most. That's why you see Atlanta go with like a standard Reinhardt 3 support combo, big pick off, and then on Zen there, Boombox taking out Kodak from long range.
And then Hotmo falling very quickly after. With the Discord orb on him, EQO was able to walk up, hit him through the Victorious barrier. The Discord orb was adding so much on the damage. We've seen this a bunch from Boombox in this series actually against the London Spitfire. A lot of those early picks, especially on Bedosin, getting that opposition Zen, very important.
Atlanta, as that goes on though, they lose that fight pretty quick. They do get a tick on the point. So you can see at the top of your screen, they hit that arrow, so they're going to have that to go off of progress. So a third of the way, taking from A already.
That limits Philly's margin of error. Now they can't just sort of sit up on the purchase for as long as they would otherwise like. They'd probably be pretty annoyed if that even happens.
I mean, that's what you're going to have to do if you're Philly. You're going to have like the Diva and the Winston, so Poco and Sato in this situation, just cycle who can test the point back and forth to get enough healing to keep them to stay up.
Well, look at them. Atlanta realize this now. They're sitting in the corner trying to bait the game. Sato gets moved back. Gets to his intended target, so he's forced to put the barrier down and scuttle away. EQO down to one half, and again, Sato has to play with basically. He takes from the skies. Atlanta identify a weakness in the lineup of the fusion. They push inside the side room. 2 supports are down. This is perfect for the Defran. 95 charge and a Graviton if you were to need it, but Philadelphia just got gutted.
And I think what they realized there is what we saw from Carpe's POV is the grab from Defran. The airmail, that one is Philly actually going to come back. They want that grab back.
Down barrier now from Atlanta. Hastily applied. They realize they may have overstepped themselves somewhat. Sato is down. The self-destruct thrown in the middle. Poker 1-4. He'll have it. Bus is down, but EQO is traded. Carpe moving up to the point now, and somehow Philly have salvaged this. Atlanta run out of steam.
You would have loved to have that grab if you're Atlanta.
How?
Combo with it.
They lose here, they lose their break. Still able to hang on.
Sometimes it happens there, but I actually like the read early by Atlanta. So they go through the hotel, and they actually realize that Carpe is above them. Dako's just getting beamed down by the Zarya. And they realize, like, oh, we have both the Winston and the Diva split off here to the right, and Carpe's not going to jump down because then you have him split off all alone. So Carpe kind of rotates around to the window. By the time he gets there, both of his other tanks are dead.
Carpe does a heck of a lot of damage in that early engagement. Neptuno definitely able to step back away. The Transcendence is now brought into play by the Atlanta Reign. The follow-up, though, not excellent. They're on the point, they're very close. The Philly has still 6 strong. Starting push up, starting goes down once again. Boombox misses the timing on the Transcendence. He can't keep his face take out. Now the Graviton. Philly have to invest in this fight. We'll see if it works out, but Poco's caught on the grab himself. EQO has to back up. Now Atlanta probably take a breather here, but they're a little bit disjointed themselves. But they use this to take down Carpe. They find one of the arms of the pincer. It's traded though. Kodak's missing, but Boombox was being down by Erster. And Poco has to go for the self-destruct. Trying to make some space for Sato and the rest. It's just him and EQO. Neptuno playing close. Poco has re-backed off to the side, so he takes a fair bit of early damage. And the Rain have position. There has to be a full commitment here from Philly, but they've lost Sato now. They're running out of options.
It was like a 4-on-4 here on the point, but you had the brand fully charged up. There's 3 tanks and a support for Atlanta against 2 supports and 2 tanks for Philly. Atlanta finally takes point A. That got really scary considering how much progress they made early on. Durant probably just kind of like fast-fingered accidentally used the grab there on the pole.
Well, he was trying to catch Sato and primal, but Sato had jumped already. Sato was out of there. I mean, he was very good at playing evasively on that Winston we've seen from Sato. Very good at being aggressive. At least he has both of those things covered.
They'll have all 6 ultimates here for Atlanta in the next fight. That's good. This is a very difficult part of this to push through this type of meta.
There's going to be a lot of them used here as well. Transcendence, Graviton also out from Atlanta. Range build up. They're also investing in time, but getting nothing for it. Atlanta. That's what we call ROI, ladies and gentlemen. They have a sound barrier, earth shatter, self-destruct to bring into the next engagements.
And there's a good chance you can get a pretty good shatter off. So you don't really need the Graviton Surge to combo with the self-destruct. Like you see from Poco's POV, where the Philadelphia Fusion are going to have to come through. It's just like a narrow choke wave. So you think, you can get Sato a little low, put the shield down, maybe get a boom, knock him out of the way. Or you can get that counter shatter, right? How many times have we seen the grabs come down and then a shatter come down inside of it?
This is pretty good counter shatter himself. That's the shatter, mostly blocked though. Sound barrier for both teams here, but Neptuno was a little bit low. Poco really pushing here at the front line, and in that right corner you can see Massa trying to stay alive now with the Graviton Surge brought in. Poco again, self-destruct in over the top. It yields results. Darko is missing to Fran. Carpe, close quarters. And the Fusion again have to feel good about this match. Look what they come out of this fight with.
Yeah. Atlanta has to know when they use those 3 ultimates, when they use the sound barrier, the earth shatter, and the self-destruct, that is a not winnable fight. I have to go to the opposite of what we just said right now. They have to know it's not winnable because Philly uses nothing in the previous fight. They had some ultimates, so you come into the last 50 seconds here, you have a few options. Atlanta, so you have the Graviton Surge and the Transcendence coming online. You can extend this fight, or you can go quick, try and bait an ultimate or 2 out, and come back stockpile.
All eyes on Sato right now. He does have an Earth Shatter waiting. He'll need a bit quick though. Kodak gets close to the Transcendence, and he lays it down. Beautiful. The brand is on the ground. So is Erster. And Poco comes in for the cleanup. Great coordination between the tanks of the Philadelphia Fusion. Atlanta, you can't blame them for that one. They get caught up in the mess. The Graviton Surge from DeFrando, unfortunately, doesn't give them what they need to get that fight going.
You will be able to get potentially back to the card. You need Doctor to stay alive. He's probably going to be the one that needs this touch here.
Poco's too afraid to really commit to that one either. It's just, the stakes are very high. 5 seconds left. Atlanta need to get to the payload to keep this round going. Philly staunchly defending it now. Erster goes in for the shield bash, but looked like he didn't connect. Or Sato was protected. Poco's down to half, and that's dangerous. It's forcing out the Transcendence now from Atlanta. They need to go forward. They need to find some momentum, but another crowd comes in. Up to the sky goes the mech. Straight on down, and then 3! Just what the doctor ordered, and Atlanta are cut down the sides by half. Poco will pursue the D-Mech Diva, and Darko has nowhere to go. Philadelphia Fusion shut the door. Staunchly defending in that second stage. I've got to be happy with that one, but there's much more to come. Philly will move on to the attacking side when we return from a short break. Doesn't matter what season or stage it is, Poco refuses to exit the conversation for one of the most prolific and effective D.Va players in the league, Matt.
Yeah, in that match, when you take a look at this replay towards the end, so when you look at Dako and Poco is damage blocked, so the damage being eaten by the defense matrix at 8,500 compared to Dako's 5,300. Poco just eating a ton more damage. That allows Sado to be a little bit more aggressive. They're able to just push, and we talk about aggression, being the team that engages first. So important in the meta.
Vision happy with that half, but it's far from done. They need to now improve on the mileage that Atlanta were able to chalk up. 1 second on, the 94 meters. Pushing up very quickly around Statue. Using that Reinhardt shot, it's not going to be the Winston in the 3-3 setup. They really want to get up close to that, take much damage. Something Poco's been very good at mitigating himself, but that shield facade is getting low. It's time to go. Musty gets taken down by Neptuno. And it's a start for the Fusion, but they're not willing to fully commit just yet. And the Raiders split themselves up, and EQO recognizes that straight away. He goes straight on in. Poco is down. Clinically picked apart was the Reigns defense here. Very nice from Philly.
Yeah, really patient there from Philadelphia. They get that first pick, and instead of pushing in right away, they're all pretty weak. They get jumped down on the point, they heal up, they see what Atlanta decides to do, and they pick a direction. EQO and Poco flying right to the right side, taking those two players that were a little bit split off, eliminating them. They're working their way back to the point.
EQO redeems himself. That was also how he got picked off by that stray self-destruct on the map in the pool. But really well identified. Hey, there's players here, they're split with the Reinhardt and the Jitter. Let's just go for them. As a result, this is the reward that Philadelphia reap. Boombox is right on top of that Transcendence. Really, they're in a great spot in terms of ultimate economy. Sado wants to just charge up his Earth Shatter and he gets the bubble to do just that. This could be quite nasty. He sees the Transcendence, but he backs off just a little bit. It's Atlanta field through to the right side. Boombox wants to chase. Poco's caught out though. That was a double stun. Muscle was also down, but it doesn't matter. He gets back to his feet and gives it as good as he gets.
I feel like every time we go on with the Grant, he is high energy. Atlanta loses some of these fights, but he's building up that energy quite quick when we get on with him. Him and Carpe about even in average energy right now. But Zarya is your main damage hero in this type of competition, right? I mean, both players leading their teams by a wide margin in terms of damage done.
Fran said Carpe was the one he was most looking forward to going head-to-head with. There's a lot of weight on this particular matchup for the young Dane. Graviton's going to give the Carpe serve. Lorraine, coming back to field. No shot here. Really claimed by that one. So it doesn't quite connect. Builds the push forward. Soundberry making him a lot more durable. And Fran is taken down by the whip shot. Over the top, self-destruct. Nothing gained from that. Asado is quickly bashed by Earthster. Given the bubble immediately though by Carpe. And Philly were able to push forward without having to use the Graviton surge. That's the perfect result from them in this fight.
We saw it a little bit, when we were on the POV of the Philadelphia Fusion, when they get Poco low and they force him to that right side. At that point, it forces players from Atlanta who are around the corner to the left to come around because they have to try and help him in some capacity. And the main thing for Atlanta is that staying alive, but everybody else drops him because he's all the way up to the left.
We're right on the brink here, Philly. So close to their goal, and Atlanta have to give everything they've got to stay in this map right now. That's the Earth Shatter. Sado, though, kind of gets cut off. It doesn't matter. The rain mounts the gate, looking on like stun mullets as the payload gets home, and the Fusion will breathe a sigh of relief because that last fight was much easier than they feared it would be. We got ourselves a tied series, ladies and gentlemen. Do not change the channel.
What's up, guys? Malik here, back at it again, and I want to make sure those of you at home go get your Twitch All Access Pass for 2019. Now, just like last year, there's a ton of great stuff that you won't want to miss. You'll get access to the Command Center that lets you watch from any player POV during every match. It also comes with 200 Overwatch League tokens, so you can rep your favorite teams in the game, and you'll also get 20% off any new merch on the Gear Store website. And the best part, it's all only $15. Thing basically pays for itself. So just head on over to twitch.tv/Overwatch League and get your 2019 All Access Pass today. Welcome back, everybody. You know it is Overwatch League time when you see a Poco Bomb. That's right, pretty much a staple in the Philadelphia Fusion's games is Poco Bombs. Welcome back, everybody. Malik here. I got Zoe. I got Monte Cristo here. We're getting ready to break down that first half in this electrifying match between the Philadelphia Fusion and the Atlanta Reign. Guys, has it lived up to your expectations so far? It's been pretty hype.
I actually did. I'm super excited. I knew it's going to be a close one, and that's exactly what we're getting.
Yeah, it's closer than I thought, honestly. I mean, Atlanta did look clean against Florida, but Florida sort of rolled over and died in their match, so I didn't really know how good Atlanta was, but they're impressing me.
Impressive indeed. All right, so let's go ahead and jump straight into the highlights because there's been some stuff to unpack here. First off, Nepal. Oh my goodness, man! It was just so surgical from the start to the finish.
Yeah, it's really interesting too because the Atlanta Reign are showing us some different looks, but also we were talking before the match how much of an impact Boombox is going to be having in this, and I know that it was one of Zoe's keys to the game, but he's actually at the bottom of the league out of all Zenyatta's in healing per trance right now, and he can't really seem to use his ultimate effectively.
No, he really didn't. Kodak completely outplayed him. I think the average Transcendence healing Kodak was more than half as much than what we actually seen from Boombox. So it looks like Atlanta took him out of the equation, and successfully so.
Indeed. And what about the double snipers that we also saw there too?
I mean, I'm really excited about this double sniper composition because Atlanta Reign did something a little bit unusual, which they also did on Volskaya yesterday, which was to play with 3 DPS players but have Erster on the Diva. And I think that means there's probably a triple DPS look that we didn't see them run on Nepal, but it does give them flexibility on control to be able to do that. And Erster's Diva was actually pretty decent.
Right. And at Philadelphia Fusion, they were down 0-1, able to bring things back here at Kings Row. What exactly did they do to secure this map?
I mean, the end here, I think, was kind of questionable from the Atlanta Reign. Looked like they should have been able to at least, get one final fight in there with the help of that Transcendence, but they just couldn't get to the point in time.
It was also a huge comeback from Poco Bombs, and he hit them left and right. He once more showed why that is a thing in the league, and we hope he continues in the second half.
Right, now let's go ahead and take one more look at that sniper battle because that was definitely one of the big moments in that first map at Nepal. We had Inlayer, we had DeFran, and we had them going up against Carpe and EQO. This is pretty much a dream match right there.
I'm not sure it was a dream match for Endlayer necessarily because he did at least lose the sniper battle, but that didn't stop Atlanta Reign from actually doing relatively well overall. It did go to the very, very end of that point before we actually saw a victory, and I think it's cool that they have these mix-ups that they can do in terms of their team compositions using these DPS players.
And I have to say, Carpe once again showed how clutch he can get. He was the only reason why they actually managed to get that map in the end, and that's something he's been doing throughout the entirety of Season 1, so Fusion will be in a bad place without him.
You're right about that. I agree with you I agree with you on that. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get back into this match. So, guys, stay tuned. We got a lot more action here at the Overwatch League coming up right after the break.
Right as I was clicking it. No. Like, he already had a pick, and it's like, okay, good, I can go Legion.
back, nerds, to the Overwatch League. 2 maps out of the way. But Kings Row was quite the stoush. How important was the Zarya play on that map? We saw so many impactful gravitons to set up on the combo.
I mean, Zarya in this meta in general is just so important. Kings Row is always a fantastic map for Zarya. We saw 2 of the better ones go at it, and you can see how much hero damage both these players put down, near the top 4 at the top of their teams. But Zarya is such a difficult but also fun hero to play in terms of, the ultimate graviton surge, so impactful. You can get everybody in that tight gripped area. You can combo with a ton of other ultimates, but you also, on top of the mechanical skill and the tracking that you need to almost see the game a few seconds before, because you need to know when to throw those bubbles on players, because if you don't put down a good bubble, you don't get any damage done on that bubble. You don't create energy. If you don't have any energy, you don't do any damage. You don't do any damage, you're just a waste of space out there on the field.
A great way of thinking of it, Zarya, everything you do outside of your primary fire relies on a teammate, whether it's positioning or otherwise. Dogman's in, baby. Let's go. Coming up, of course, for the Academy team here. They debated us on Twitter, sort of implying that he'd been dropped. And Dogman has been around the scene for a long time.
Yeah.
He tried his hand at casting it well as well. I've seen him do some of that, but now he's back, obviously, and be in that flex support seat.
I mean, a player, he's, trying some casting, he had a podcast, I used to watch that.
That was a great podcast.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Also, very quick, before we jump in, big shout out to all my friends from Northeastern University, winners of the Boston Uprising Collegiate Cup. Go Huskies. Thanks for being here, guys. They obviously won that tournament and actually came here as their prize. So shout out to those guys. Love me some collegiate Overwatch.
It's a pretty solid prize.
Yeah, well, I think so. Here we go. Volskaya Industries.
Waiting for Philly to switch. These Symmetra on Neptuno. Don't know if that'll be a thing. Don't think it will, but you never know. As we have seen Symmetra get some play in Season 2.
Atlanta not showing anything real crazy. Carpe on the Sombra is definitely a possibility. Neptuno not going to come out on the Symmetra. All right, very well behaved from Philadelphia, which is consistent with what we observed from them when they went up against London. Let's see what they bring to the fray here, though. Again, it'll be slow movement through, trying to get some control of this high ground. I love that response from Massa straight away saying, nope, you're not getting up here.
And because Sato actually gets booped down, they use the bubble like we were talking about in that graphic, and there's no damage being put down on it because Sato ends up on the ground. So that's one way you can deny Zarya some charge, some energy.
By running away?
Well, I mean, they force Sato down, and he doesn't run away by himself.
This Dogman really just trying to put as much between him and the Fusion as possible, then sort of appear in line of sight and let go a volley of orbs. Fusion's still a bit unsure about how they enter this fight. Like, where's the weak point? What can we exploit here? Dogman is playing off to the side on his own. You can see that Masa's sticking very close to him.
Now you want to keep that Zen alive, and they get him. And they actually rotate around Atlanta because they didn't want to play over where that mega health pack is, because with the Winston for Philadelphia, could have closed the gap really quick, forced them up to the staircase, really tough position. They try and wrap around and then maybe use the staircase in that high ground to protect the Zenyatta. Doesn't work out for Atlanta.
I mean, that's probably the most pacifistic, take on point A I've ever seen. They just waited until Atlanta were out of position. This is a trait that I actually used to observe from a lot of Finnish Overwatch teams, early on in the game's existence. They just waited until Atlanta split themselves, essentially.
It's a pretty fast time there for Philadelphia to take our first point here on Volskaya. 6 minutes plus to take point B. They have the opportunity to finish here with a lot of time left in the bank, as Volskaya could be a map that could go pretty long. We see some high score lines here on this map.
It's where it all went wrong for Philadelphia in the grand finals of our inaugural season last year. A 1-for-1 trade early. Sato was hoping to get a little bit more value with this Primal Rage by knocking people in the opposite direction, but he's got no choice now but to turn this into a bit of a mess off towards the side. With the Transcendence brought out from Dogman, he says, okay, it's enough for us.
Philly's fine backing out here. Poco drops. You'll have Boombox fall as well. They try and get Carpe back. He has the grab here, doing a nice job in terms of energy. The average energy is sitting at 54 compared to Defran's 8. The Defran doesn't really have a long fight there first, where, Carpe stays alive the entire time, wins that. So it's one of the reasons kind of heavily over towards Carpe. But you see the Zarya glowing a little bit. When they glow, that means they got that high energy.
It's like the same as you're told when you're out in Australia. If anything glows, just don't touch it. It's going to hurt you.
I've been to Australia 3 or 4 times. I've never heard anybody say that.
Because you don't leave the house. Poco up in the front.
I would need to get there, but it's kind of the logic you typically use, so I get it.
Sound barrier here for both sides. Another team really wants to engage. You'll know that Philly want to get aggressive right now. When the rally gets used, they're going to come forward to Frank quickly. Let's go, that Graviton Surge, and it will be a self-destruct to combo with it. It won't really be necessary, though. It finds EQO, but Sato and Neptuno had already been felled. Atlanta Reign secure themselves a pretty efficient cleanup in that fight.
And Atlanta needs to use some of these ultimates. You can't let Philly, be the aggressor, use the ultimates, take the point, because like we mentioned before, taking point 2 here, point B, and still having like 3 minutes in the bank, that's great for Philadelphia. So Atlanta needs to secure a lot of these fights rather easily, use some of those ultimates a little bit more freely, as now we'll see Carpe Inco coming back. He's still got this energy from that second fight. Still sitting at near 70%.
Oh, I love that. The 180 straight into the Graviton Surge. Atlanta wasn't ready for that one at all. Pokemon tries to give himself and his team a bit of an umbrella, and it pays off, but it doesn't protect from the Earth Shatter. DeFrance down. He was discorded before he even hit the ground. The rest is elementary, my dear Watson. Fusion with the positioning on the point, mate. They are looking very good now. Hiding in the back is Darko. So he might try and stall. He's actually sitting to the bottom right of your screen currently. He flies in just to keep this one going. Stunned up pretty quickly. Good idea from him. And a sound barrier on a mini diva might not seem like much, but it is keeping the Reign in charge at this point.
Yeah, he connects with a few other players as well, as here comes Carpe back on Reaper. Reaper just shredding through tanks. Obviously, the lifesteal able to give himself health back as he puts down damage. You see the health not really going below max here.
Whoever knew that Edgelord could look so good. Massa knocked up against the wall. Couldn't get away from that. And that self-destruct, and Philly eventually get their prize. 2 points captured for them now, and it'll be up to Atlanta to see if they can match that one. Philly will try and put up the defense and get themselves their third map here. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Philadelphia versus Atlanta, and we are in the middle of Volskaya here as Philly managed to finish. Matt, there's been so many fights over this series, actually, even this map in particular, but they haven't really been scrappy or messy. It seems like they've been very short.
Yeah, talking during the break, it's like usually with this triple tank, triple support composition, you see these fights really get drawn out. But I think both of these teams are so disciplined and so good and have a great understanding of the ultimate economy that nobody's really wasting or forcing a lot of fights. We see in this series more than any, and I think I've commentated this far, is both teams' willingness to back out of fights and concede fights, not give ult charge to the other team, understanding how important those ultimates are.
It was said by many pundits that the 3-3 play was not very clean over the last few days of the Overwatch League. Perhaps the screws are being tightened just a little bit more as Philly and Atlanta both ease into what we consider to be the current meta. Oh, nice little boop off the high ground there. Lovely work there by Darko just to unseat a few of those Fusion players. Again, he's just gone up there. I mean, motion sickness people probably should look away from the screen, but Philly really trying to control the high ground as best as they possibly can, and those players that are on the ground are being very careful. Carpe isolated, picked off.
So really nice play from Daco and Dogman. Dogman lands the Discord on Carpe. They get him pretty low and they force him back by the health pack. And Daco just flies right in. Ends up giving up this mech in the end, but totally worth it. And we talked about how impactful Zari is, the leading damage dealer in a lot of these teams. You get the other team Zari out early. So there goes, even more important than the damage is almost the bubble, right?
Yep. It only took them 70 seconds, Matt, to capture point A. And again, I bring back to the topic we brought this half back in on, saying the fights here seem to be so decisive that, you very much have an idea of the team that's going to win it almost before it begins.
Yeah, I mean, you save and back out to fight another day. And Atlanta, they probably know they have a slight advantage in terms of ultimates here. Let's see how they decide to use it. Rally early. They're going to try and protect Dogman as Sato is jumping right on top of him.
Yeah, Sato's actually tried to wrap around a little bit, but he's taking a lot of damage in the grab. Beautiful! He baited them into the trap. Sato's now missing. Philadelphia have to go alone with just 5 players. Oh, Carpe! The grab was eaten by Darko, and that's how the Fusion were going to get out of jail, but now it looks like a solitary confinement. Atlanta with all their players up on the point, and Sato has to commit to this one with a primal rage. Maybe he can mitigate the effects of the transcendence being used by Dogman, but there's really very little he can do. The self-destruct claims EQO and a large chunk of Sato's health in primal rage, and now it's time for the Soundmayor from Neptuno. He's huddling with Carpe up on the high ground. They're a little bit too afraid to commit, but Boombox gets an important pick. Ursula goes down from long range. The young Brit manages to fire a very crucial target. But again, it's going to be tough with this Graviton Surge. Sato tries to pop right in with a pile driver, and Massa now is down. It's a war of attrition. Philadelphia slowly clawing their way back into this one.
Good old EQO Reinhardt here coming out of the end, just trying to get on the point and swing. But Sato on Wrecking Ball, such a difficult target to take out. Wrecking Ball so mobile, self-sustain. Philadelphia holds barely.
Those picks, those little picks, right, we saw from Neptuno and Boombox managing to just, fire a volley of, orbs down the way, picking off a Brigitte or something similar. That's how you get back into these fights. You spawn much closer. You can trickle your players out, in ones and twos and keep the point contested. Whereas the attackers, when they lose a player, it is a long walk back. But Defran, though, has yet another Graviton Surge. He's been building these very quickly. And again, Atlanta will be leaning into that one to try and take the point back. They've got all their impactful ultimates, Philly a little bit low on them. Now Defran's going to push them away. Look at this, straight into the choke. Transcendence has to be used here by the Fusion. It's the only way they stay alive in this fight. Earthshatter knocks Sato down, but they can't find a kill off the back of it. It's just Neptuno off to the side, taken down by Dogman. And with a self-destruct in the middle, that was supposed to help relieve the pressure for the Fusion. It was only Massa to fall for it here, and the Fusion need to find a couple more picks in over this point. It's going to be tough. Boombox down at half health. Sato knocked off towards the side, forced to try and charge across the point. He lays it down. And Neptuno really can only sit there and watch the Atlanta Reign blistering pace. And they lead in time bank after that attack.
This has been such a sick series this far, man. The Dogman, the substitution coming in here playing Zen for Atlanta. They're really making an impact. The damage between him and Boombox is about even. But, the Transcendence healing. Dogman sitting at 4,300. 3K for Boombox, and Dogman getting it about 10% faster. 10% doesn't seem like a whole lot, but in the course of the game of Overwatch, the 10 seconds could be the difference between winning and losing.
In dog years, Matt, that's a lot.
I set you up for that one. You just knocked it out of the park.
3 minutes and 26 seconds. That's what Philadelphia Fusion have on their time bank, Matt. So it's a little less. Not distinctly so. Here's Defran pushing in.
Yeah, so check this out. So Defran's trying to look, and he sees Poco out to the left, knows there's no chance of that getting eaten, and then he tries to pop his own bubble during this to potentially block off the Transcendence healing. Transcendence works on line of sight. You can block it with the Zarya bubble. That's where you see some heads-up play for both of these Zaryas. That was a pretty sick play.
We've also seen players, Zenyatta players, in the middle of using Transcendence, blocking self-destruct damage onto their teammates, right? We saw some of that yesterday in Nopani. So there's tons of techie little things that you can do with line of sight in this game. And a lot of these players at this level are going to be looking to exploit those to get the best results or the most bang for their buck out of their ultimates. Here we go. Philadelphia Fusion out the door. And they know they've got to be pretty expedient once again at capturing point A.
And something as little as that, like as Arya walking in with a bubble, blocking is the difference between maybe somebody die into a self-destruct or not.
Or it's stopping your teammates from getting shattered as well.
Exactly.
Philly again. Probably look to try and pull apart Atlanta in a very similar fashion. Sato up to the high ground, quickly denies that away. Atlanta wait for the bubble to disappear from the Winston before, making their own foray back to the high ground. But this high ground, with Carpe, EQ, and Boombox is going to be hard for Atlanta.
Atlanta playing this the exact opposite way they played it the last time. They didn't want to play from this mega health pack room. They tried to wrap around the previous time on defense. This time, they want to see maybe if you could take advantage of Sato diving in, get a bash, a Discord, take him out pretty quick.
Well, this time, Philly don't have an easy target to pick off. You know, they don't have a Dogman or someone who's isolated. And Sato seems to actually be the one facing that issue now. He had to back right up. Look at his health. Just now being healed into a position where he can continue to fight. Philly are in a decent spot, but they're not actually applying point pressure until just now with EQO stepping on. This is looking much like King's Row. They're looking to force Atlanta into a mistake. EQO has the shield bash out. He got a little bit too close for comfort there.
Yeah, they almost got Sato that first time, able to stay alive so long. Some great Winston play. You see the movement, just phenomenal. You know, he is the target that Atlanta is trying to take down. They're just not able to do it.
And these Discord orbs are being followed up so well. All three tanks went down with Boombox's Discord orb. That's how they managed to find that pick on Defran, where it didn't actually appear like there was any single player completely out of position. A lot of extra damage there in Fusion as a result. It's a more drawn out fight. They get those ultimates up. There is potential here, Matt, for a snowball situation with Philadelphia leaning into their lead in Ultimate Economy to finish the map as quickly as possible.
I think what Philly could do is like a speed boost and rally here, maybe kind of put some damage down onto Pokepo, force that Transcendence out. Then at the later half that Transcendence, you see the Graviton Surge come.
Sato Primal Rages could be nasty! Buster's off the edge and Sato, oh no! You are not going anywhere, Dogman! Get back in the kettle!
Well, that's denying Transcendence healing from some of his teammates. It's just Philly hasn't made progress on the point. Now the grab comes out.
They did manage to nullify most of that Transcendence, which is crucial. Poco down, Ducko also missing the self-destruct from Poco, posthumously yielding himself a kill. Off towards the side is Carpe, and like you said, when Zarya's glowing, she's out there to do some work. Sato blocking that spawn exit, and now just that little aperture preventing Atlanta from streaming onto the point the way they'd like to. Sato does go down in the ensuing firefight, but the Transcendence here means Philly can just ease into the rest of this fight. Pressure Darko down with the Discord orb, and Boombox, he's in the hot seat. He's in the perfect spot right now, just to wreck the Atlanta Reign. But Poco might have other ideas. The Earth Shatter comes in and he claims EQO. He's looking healthy. Carpe's kind of caught out on his own here. Defran gives himself a barrier. Carpe has to back away on the left-hand side. He's going to struggle to escape from this one. Defran pushes forward, and somehow the Atlanta Reign have managed to turn this one around.
Oh, they come back, you know, Poco switches over to Wrecking Ball, try and get back. When they lose Sato, you don't really have a big bubble to block a shatter, and Pogba walks onto the point, hits a huge shatter. Carpe kind of forced all the way to wrap around to the high ground. They're not able to get any use of that Zarya. Oh man, what a hold there from Atlanta. And now only 30 seconds for Philly.
So much time lost in that fight. Not unlike me, the Fusion probably thought they were on easy street after that Transcendence came up. Beautiful Earth Shatter from Pokemon. And sometimes, like I said, just the one kill that you need. This is very aggressive for Sato. He's gone straight into the back line, immediately going for the Primal Rage. Carpe will wait this one out. See if they can get Darko D-Mech to avoid him with the Graviton Surge. That's 3 players caught up in it. Sato's in the mix now as well. The Jungle Gym is here. Darko gets desuited, and it's just Popo on the point. Philadelphia Fusion pushed through after what would have been such a frustrating previous fight. But they get there, though, one way or another.
And really, for Atlanta, it comes down to losing Dogman there early. He had that Transcendence. We talked about how much more effective he's been with the Transcendence ultimate of Zenyatta than opposed to Boombox on the other side. And he drops there. As soon as he drops, that's when the grab comes out from Carpe.
Those final moments here. This is that last little push. I see you there, Dogman. Push straight in towards him.
Ooh, the Discord, the bash, and then the whip shot.
Again, Dogman doesn't want to play with the rest of his team because he doesn't want to be subject to getting dived on by Sato. He's going to try and hide away. Then appear when the rocket jump is going to be on cooldown. But he still has to play on his own. At an alternate angle, a peripheral angle, if you will. And again, if you notice him, EQO knew straight away he had to go.
So we'll see what Atlanta decides to do on offense. I think what they have right now is probably what they're going to run out on. I mean, they could switch everything, right? Run like a quad DPS, triple DPS, but they've been pretty consistent. They're running the Reinhardt version of this triple tank, triple support. On defense, Sato's still staying with the Winston, so I think on defense you could run either or. Winston, obviously, very strong to get to the high ground in a lot of situations. A lot of escape routes for Winston here on Volskaya to break line of sight from the opposing team and get around some of these corners, get healed back up.
Just be a persistent nuisance is probably what he's looking to do. The Reign come out with a Reinhardt-based 3-3, so generally This is considered to be stronger. There's a little bit more damage output there. Pokpo actually has burst damage, something that Sato doesn't have available to him. Takes a lot of damage early to Sato. He's forced to just pretty much head vertically straight up. Dogman is like, all the damage coming from Boombox on the high ground. They get him! Carpe follows up. You can see the pressure point that Philly are trying to aim for here on the Atlanta. And now they're boxed into this little room. And they're missing their Zen.
I think you have Poco playing in this position. He knows the Zen needs to come back. So Atlanta's got an option. You know, you either let Dogman fight out one-on-one against the enemy Diva, or you go back, you try and get him through. So you see they kind of moved in this choke here. That's going to allow Sato to put down some damage as they walk through. It gets healed up. So Atlanta starts their next push. Oh!
There it is again!
Oh, no.
Oh. Well, the Fusion definitely trying to isolate the Zenyatta or Dogman here, and the Rain are going to great lengths to shepherd the Zenyatta into the point with them. But again, it's quite a distance to cross. Now this puts extra pressure on Atlanta. Say, they may have to play slower. Maybe the tanks are going to be always looking over to the shoulder to make sure the Zenyatta is there and he's protected. See Dogman on your screen there is, again, this is not aggressive positioning from him. He's just being picked off by Philly, who are looking for him actively.
Philly's got grab to use here. You know, you're walking towards some of these chokes. Carpe could hit it towards the wall, which he does, and everybody's caught inside of it.
That's a lot of energy. Oh, that's filthy. Sato there as well with multiple melee kills and that roiling massive body. So again, pause for thought for the Rain. They probably knew they'd struggle a little bit, having sort of lost the first fight, losing Dogman. They knew they'd be behind an ultimate.
And I want to give some props to Sato. You know, it's a lot tougher, I think, to run this comp, because the Winston, if you go in and the bubble's wrong and your own bubble is wrong, you know, the bubble coming from Zarya and then your own, you could easily just get stunned, Discord, and taken out with ease. He's done a great job of staying alive. Only 6 deaths to the entire map.
Atlanta have assumed the tortoise formation. Really not wanting to move, and Dogman's been spotted, so Sato definitely has caught his scent. And there's a Primal Rage available, so Sato, if he wants to start displacing some of these frontliners, he's going to do it. Asta, though, gets caught. That's a big fist to cop to the jaw, and unfortunately, he's not getting up from that one. Poco! Very clever from Pokpo there, just to try and stay up. The charge, there was damage there, but it was a Primal Rage Winston, Matt. Yeah.
And it's tough for Atlanta because obviously you've wasted a ton of time getting stuck at the choke. You know, DeFran's built this grab. You haven't had an opportunity to even use it. Carpe's probably going to end up with another one. I mean, you've already seen them use one. You're going to get that second one and be able to use it before Atlanta gets a good use of their first.
1 minute 17 left, and Atlanta need both point A and point B to stay in this map. The Rain tentatively now move forward onto the point, but Boombox is the high ground and he drops in. As soon as the Graviton Surge was used, he knew it was Transcendence time. Darko finds EQO. Again, the Brigitte catching a little bit of the blast, and the sound barrier for the Fusion doesn't really get any value because they're too busy planning on the next move. Carpe's Graviton was eaten up by Darko, and all the options that Philly had to go for have been stripped away from the one-by-one. Poco forlornly heads for the hills. And the Atlanta Rain managed to capture point A, and again, not a moment too soon. They really had problems getting their coordination in place to take it.
Yeah, Boombox gets weak on the high ground, and he's actually forced to use Transcendence and then drop to the point. That's when Atlanta can land a big sound barrier. They're able to swing things in their favor, and that they know that Dako eating the Graviton Surge is massive. So a little bit under a minute here for Atlanta to work with. They're going to rally on in.
You know, that's when the fight starts, when you hear the rally sound. Self-destruct, that's one! And it was a big fish indeed! DeFran, hook, line, and sinker back to spawn. And now Massa gets pushed off on the side. Darko over the edge. They'll probably try and stagger that mini out for a little longer. Ooh, Atlanta. They really wanted to get something going there.
30 seconds.
Sato setting up now. 24 seconds remain. This has to be a Transcendence used correctly. Dogman cannot get picked off. Pokpo needs to find Sato. Find a way to get around that shield. It's go time, Matt.
Carpe's going to play a little bit forward up. You build this grab, you get them off the point. They may not even be able to touch, but he's going to actually back out. A little bit too risky playing up front.
Here we go. EQI drops straight in. Transcendence immediate answer from Dogman. Places it up on the point. Philly, reluctant to push forward, reluctant to get aggressive, and they wait out their own Transcendence. Now Atlanta don't have the healing available that Philly does. A huge disadvantage for them in this fight. Graviton Surge used. They're all caught together. Big Earth Shatter. Pokpo knocked to the ground, and here's the responding. Oh, it's a big grab from DeFran. Dogman finds Carpe, and it's just Boombox. He has to leave the point for now. Philly have to regroup and find the numbers. Atlanta are down to 4. Just 4 players left for the rain. Boombox might have been caught, and he is. 75% on the capture as Poco is desuited. One by one, Philly are being knocked down. The self-destruct doesn't claim too much, and EQO can't even get to the point. Now the Rain are here in numbers. They're starting to put out the damage. Neptuno is knocked aside. Carpe's trying to work on the periphery. He found Dogman at least, but he needs the rest of his team to be a presence on that point, and they keep getting bowled over. It's in overtime, and here's Carpe back. One last stand. He walks over in on a Wraith form, and EQO returns to the fight as the Tracer. He's going to be knocked away quickly as well. What a match!
Safran with that Graviton Surge was huge, but then he makes a big brain play. He turns around, you actually see Poco with the self-destruct towards the end, but Safran doesn't want him to come back and keep contesting the point. He actually backs out into the alleyway, and he just chases Poco away. He has to go further away, and he's less on health, so you can't extend the point for that longer, and he's not even able to throw the self-destruct on the point, clear them off of it because he's so low. It's just that little extra damage that he goes back and puts on him that really prevents Poco from extending that, allowing Philadelphia to get some more players back on the point.
There's a real chance that this could result in a draw on this map. Both teams now have 1 minute, just 1 minute, to get as far as they can through the map. And yes, that would be extended by overtime if they're on a point. If that is the case, it'll still be 1-1 in the series, and the next map would be the decider regardless. Very close Volskaya. Similar play from both these two teams. I really feel that these guys are very calculated, especially the Fusion, really trying to pull the Atlanta Rain apart. But Dogman coming into this roster here has looked good in general. It's been tough. He's been getting caught out a fair bit, but it's not always been his fault.
I tell you what, though, I mean, regardless of win or loss, I think Atlanta's proved that they can contend with the top. You know, they get that win the other day against Florida, and everyone's kind of like, let's see what they can do. Philly was in our grand final last year, and they're taking it to them.
But one way or another, it's a lot sitting on this map in the next few moments. So Poco's just sitting around the corner there. He's trying to keep tabs on Atlanta, but they know they need to push forward fairly quickly. The more damage they do, the quicker they get those ultimates, the quicker they can make a decisive play to claim the point. Dogman's trying to stay safe right now, and his opposite number, Boombox, is on that high ground. Massa gets caught. That's not good at all. They need that Lucio so badly. Barry was used onto his Pokpo now, and he only has his shield to stay up. Poco on the drive-by, doesn't mind about the insurance bill. And Carpe drops in over the top. He's not supercharged right now, but the fight's just about to get serious. Dogman is finally felled, and the Philly Fusion repel that first push by Atlanta. Matt, they have 10 seconds to get back to the point. Massa may get staggered if he's not careful. Neptuno was nipping at his heels, but he's not going to be able to get there. There is a mini diva on the point, though. Darko is lying in wait. But he spotted! He doesn't get there. His Hardy around the corner was cute. But it doesn't work.
When they lose Massa, they have to try and force anything, right? So they try and get Poco in position to make a play. Darko tries to isolate Boombox. Both of those things don't work out. They lose some more players. And obviously with only a minute to go, at that point you lose a few players. We're sitting at 20 seconds. Not even a second opportunity. Here's where I think Atlanta gets a little scary. It's like this Philly, with a minute to play, you know you kind of have a draw on the table if nothing happens here, right? Do they try and pull something out with like double sniper and play a little bit further and try and get a pick and do something creative? Because then that you would want the Winston version of the triple tank, triple support. If you come out with Reinhardt and they run some quad DPS, you could be in trouble. You know, a minute you can have enough time to, play some games if you're Philly, pick, get some damage, chunk a player down. One player drops for Atlanta, you're looking at a Philadelphia map win. So I think that's probably what Atlanta had to decide before they came out. They come out on the Reinhardt version of this. And now I think, see what Philly decides to do. Philly comes out with something like this, could be really interesting. They've kind of been messing around the spawn with stuff, so you don't really know yet until we actually get into the game.
But they may want to exploit the lack of mobility of this composition that centers around Reinhardt, who is typically quite static. Looks like that's what they're going for, though. It is going to be a DPS-centric composition for the Philadelphia Fusion. Farah, Hanzo, Widowmaker, all in the mix.
And if you're Philly, why not? Right? We've seen this work for the London Spitfire. You come out, they've only really been playing a ton of Reinhardt. That's kind of what they're going to run.
Carpe's set up now. There's not really anyone that can actually access him unless Darko wants to take the arduous trek across the map to pressure him down. EQO tries to hit that concussive blast, doesn't get resolved for Popo, so low. He's very low. EQO in a great position to rain these rockets down. Ursa also has to take cover. 1 for 1. Carpe went down. Massa pushed him, but he's resurrected. He's brought back into the fray and he gets another crack at it. Still in a position, Massa has to go after him. You see him on the right of your screen. Carpe being pressured down now by the plucky Lucio. And he got EQO! Are you kidding me? Massa wasn't even looking for Carpe!
They're gonna do this.
That is astounding from the Atlanta Reign. Philly throws them the strangest look. And they respond with confidence. Sada doesn't even really get to the point. He's taken down. The Dragon Strike was used, but it's not enough. I would love to know how Massa changes targets so quickly and finds a Farah up in the air. He said, oh, I can't have the Widow? I guess I'll just take the bird. Very impressive stuff from Atlanta. They prevent that capture. And they make that map a draw when it looked like Philly had the golden ticket. They had the answer. And yeah, you can be happy about it. Oh, Dogman, okay, all right. That reminds me of myself over the talent takedown. A little bit of pluck, a little bit of spice here from the Reign. We love to see it. One more map is just around the corner.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
What's up, guys? Malik here, back at it again, and I want to make sure those of you at home go get your Twitch All Access Pass for 2019. Now, just like last year, there's a ton of great stuff that you won't want to miss. You'll get access to the command center that lets you watch from any player POV during every match. It also comes with 200 Overwatch League tokens, so you can rep your favorite teams in the game, and you'll also get 20% off any new merch on the Gear Store website. And the best part, it's all only $15. The thing basically pays for itself. So just head on over to twitch.tv/Overwatch League and get your 2019 All Access Pass today.
If you're a mirror player, just per se, right? If you get a shitty spawn in mirror, you're screwed. But if you know that you're in a spot where you shouldn't,
Blinking you miss it, ladies and gentlemen. We called that a draw at the end of the half. It wasn't. Atlanta actually had a tick on their attacking side. There was a lot going on. But that's so huge for them. They take that map and now they go on the cusp of winning this entire series. It is currently 2-1 in favor of the Reign. Again, you can throw a tissue over these two teams. They're so close.
You know, looking back at the stage after the map, Philly looks stunned because they came out. They had a great composition against what Atlanta was running. But Atlanta with just clutch play after clutch play, able to hold on there and steal that map.
It's generally keeping me very much on my toes. We're sweating out here. We thought we'd see something special when Philly came out. We saw Carpe. We just saw the double sniper play. Obviously the Hanzo, the Widowmaker, the Farah was even there. But Massa, that aggression. You know, he's a leader of this team. He's a vocal presence. Not only obviously Lucio's right now hitting beats fantastically, doing a great job at booping people around the place, but actually going and getting a kill. That is incredibly remarkable, and I'm sure we'll see a little bit more of that.
I mean, he gets a kill onto Carpe, and then they have to res Carpe, and then he gets the kill onto EQO. It's just massive end layer coming back in for Ursa here. It could be our final map of this series.
Yeah, so with the setup that we've had, obviously Ursa having sort of been in, we haven't really got to see him play much of that flex DPS role that he was often touted for. Both these teams generally behaving themselves and playing mostly tank-heavy compositions, but Enler gave a good account of himself prior when he did show up. But this is gotta make you sweat a little bit if you're in Philadelphia's position now. This is not where you went. Volskaya, it's almost a repeat of what happened. I'm talking about that grand final against London again. They were this close.
I think on the other side, though, if you're Atlanta, everything's going in your favor right now. You clutch up, You have all the hype, people in here going crazy. Philly's kind of stunned. They probably didn't expect Atlanta to put up this great of a fight. You don't really know. New team coming into the league, how it would fare, but one map away, Atlanta, from going 2-0 this week. That'd be massive.
And we spoke a little bit with the coaching staff, the management crew at Atlanta, and they looked at us and they said, look, you know, we're not gonna look at you with a straight face and say we expect to win stage 1 and win the Overwatch League as soon as we come in here. They had very tempered expectations. So it's safe to say that they've been exceeded. They have a roster, they're rotating players in and out, and they're still getting these results. Obviously, the matchup against the Florida Mayhem was a little one-sided, but we already saw Philadelphia with a very strong start to this season. But now, they're on a knife's edge of falling to the rain here. And absolutely nowhere.
With Philly on defense first, they'll come out 3 tanks, 3 supports, and they'll have Sato playing Winston, so not going to have the Reinhardt in this composition. Plan on offense, still some time to make changes here. Whether they've been running Reinhardt throughout the entire time, so that's kind of what you expect them to do here. That, really, it's kind of where you want to attack here if you're Atlanta. Do you want to go straight through the choke with the speed boost? Do you want to go around up the stairs and then try and go behind Philly? That's where Philly having Winston is a little bit nicer, a little bit. You like them able to jump and catch them in the choke as opposed to using that speed boost to rotate all the way around.
Sato goes in for a bit of a peek to see what Atlanta are bringing to the party. And again, probably no surprise to us to see Popco on that Reinhardt. Again, 3-3 based around the Reinhardt. Enlair taking Erster's role on the Predictor. A lot of trading, giving Sato a lot of damage. He actually got stunned up for a moment there. He was able to get out. No real casualties caused here. And podcasting it carefully. Flew over the top. Discord order. Dogman is stuck to me. And the Rain are making great progress. Poku does eventually get DC. The Discord placement from Dogman made it very hard for him to get involved. Both teams have traded out for the bench.
You know, although that no kills went down, actually, Philly was much weaker. You know, they had Sato about half health, Poco as well. They're able to turn this fight in their favor. You see all the assists coming through. With the Zenyatta, Boombox laying down those Discords. 80% already towards the Transcendence. Dogman only 56% of the way there. So that Transcendence will be big here for Philly if they can get it first.
Atlanta set up that win this stroke, which is a little bit scary for them to push through now. They definitely want to get out to the open. They can spread a little bit. Boombox again, that Transcendence potentially go now. They want to go in pretty much straight away, especially in the absence of Dogman. There's no reason for Philly not to fight. And Sato compounds the issue with a finish on the left. Try and make it hard for the Rain to escape. Great way for them to just get a little bit more off percentage now.
Going to come out of nowhere trying to keep Sato alive, which they do. I don't think that Atlanta expected them to invest the Transcendence come all the way down just to keep the main tank up. Philly uses it now. You know, Atlanta may be able to capitalize. They're going to have all 3 of their support ults pushing on through.
Yeah, safe to say that's not exactly where they wanted to use it. They almost did a bit of a Guangzhou, I suppose. Overextending slack. Sunday's always demonstrated the tendency to play a little bit more aggressively. Here's the rally coming up. Here goes Shadow. Poco being knocked away. Carpe thinking about throwing the Graviton Surge in the backside. He does let that one go. It is a need. It does activate. The Sound Barrier now needs to be applied by the Atlanta Rain. They get Massa. Poco drops one on him, but Dogman. That's a cheeky little double. Is there life in the Rain yet? It's possible. Another primal race for Sato. He's looking for Dogman. This time maybe not extending quite as far. Should be able to get this break here. Or has he done so yet again? He loves to walk that tightrope, Matt.
Dogman able to stay alive. Everybody else though ends up falling. And see, as soon as he picks up that double, Sato uses the primal raid, jumps right on top of him. And Larry uses the armor pack of Dogman trying to keep him up. Yeah, Poco there trying to keep him up as well, swinging with the Reinhardt. And all that effort to keep Dogman up, though, everybody else falls. And now we only got a minute to go for Atlanta, and the Boombox is going to use Transcendence. They're going to get quite aggressive.
He sent in that Discord order, and they followed that straight away with the Transcendence. Nicely executed there. The Earthshatter response from the Rain. Again, Pogba trying to get aggressive and turn that around. But Philly were in full control.
No ultimates for Philadelphia, though. I mean, you're going to have Grab, but Atlanta's going to have Rally, Transcendence, their own grab, self-destruct. And this next fight looks like Atlanta. You see Poco eat those Graviton serves. Gotta see see if the Fran can land a good grab here.
There's the rally. That's the start of the business. Rain is pressuring down Poco right now. He hangs around. Will be more than happy to get him deconnected to Fran. That was a wild one. He knew the Poco was off to the left, so he sends in the Graviton Surge. That's a very good result for Atlanta. That is exactly what they were looking for. They didn't have to use all of their ultimates, and they get themselves a second lease on life in the Dorado attack.
Yeah, they put a lot of pressure on the Poco. They get him low, but as soon as he turns his back to the Fran, obviously he can't use the defense matrix of behind. That would be pretty overpowered. See Poco as he goes towards the high ground. Fran throws the grab up, catch a few players beside him.
Not only was Darko looking to lock people off, he gets some charge with the Fran, who definitely wants another grab as soon as possible here. Oh dear, Massa and Atlanta are going to fall down there as Poco goes to the Earth Shatter in response. Neptuno to chase down here. Carpe not a lot of energy. It's really needed it here. Most of his team have done the work. We're going to have the Primal Rage. They will have a rally in the next fight, the Fusion. We're going to back away here and let the respawns come through.
Atlanta has to be careful here, you know, with Philadelphia running Winston. You get the Winston low, he goes to the high ground. Darko can't chase. There's nobody else there that can put pressure on the high ground besides him. Because then you end up in a situation, Boombox does a free Discord onto Darko, and you get that D.Va defense.
On the right here. Darko trying to go for it. Don't man the first casualty in this fight. It's feast or famine for the Zenyatta player from the Atlanta Rain thus far. Not really a lot of damage, but still wants to commit. Good team up with Boombox there to deal with Enlair. Starting to use this bubble just to give himself a little longer. A bit of extra time spent in the Rain's back line. This is a great time-based defense for the Fusion. It has been since the start of this match. Atlanta Rain will be coming up with the answers when the grab is there, and Defran will be looking at that to punish an overextension.
Yeah, I mean, here's another setup where Atlanta has a good stock of ultimates. This time, though, Philadelphia will have all of their support ones. It'll be the rally from Enlair and Atlanta first. They're trying to close the gap, and they don't keep Carpe alive. Philly trying to back up to stay alive in that fight. Maybe when the rally wears out, you use your own, you push on forward. They're not able to do so. Atlanta will take that fight. If Philly, when they lose Carpe early, they decide not to invest anything else. So they'll still have a lot of those ultimates to come back.
They're going to need them here. Rain have 30 seconds, so essentially this would be the last fight that they'd have at this point. They're a long way from their spawn currently. Pressure is high, it's safe to say. Darko self-destruct in. No one caught by that with the spike. The chance started away. Samba ran out to the Philadelphia Fusion, but that gets eaten up very quickly. Sado trying to stay close to the Rain. Don't let it sneak over, and the Fusion are being dashed around the point. Here's a self-destruct in. Perfect! They dealt with the Fran, there's still more to do, and Carpe is very charged up, and Philly are in a good position to push this one in their favor. That'll be a D-Meg for Darko, and Atlanta can only look on again in dismay. He's got so many crucial parts of his team. Quick double from Dogman. There's a glint of hope perhaps, but there were so many Philly players up on the point, and they will hold it right here.
Saw Carpe coming up big. Charged up towards the end there is a pretty good hold from the Philly Fusion. See what they're able to get done in their offensive side.
Be happy. The stakes are pretty high here. The Fusion at least set themselves up for a potential map 5, and this is what we expect from them. I mean, it's going to be a week of 2 potential map 5s for them. The London match went very, very close. And again, they're getting good use out of this Winston in the 3-3 setup, man. They're obviously switching over towards the Reinhardt in the later stages here, definitely just to make good use of that shield.
Yeah, so actually right there, what you're seeing a replay of is when Poco launches the self-destruct in the sky. When we were watching, I was like, did he actually do that? So he launches the self-destruct in the sky, becomes mini D.Va, and he actually pistols Poco on the way down. So he takes out that Reinhardt from above as he's trying to hold the shield up to block it.
Gotta be happy with that performance. Poco, the 5 deaths, 7 final blows to him. Big contribution. I really want to go for that aggressive strat that they sort of laid out on Volskaya earlier on, Matt, where they didn't get on towards that point. Atlanta were able to take the map away. That would mean we'd be seeing that Carpe Widowmaker much haunted, of course.
And you look at Widowmaker against what Atlanta would be running with the Reinhardt-based composition. You're like, well, a lot of shield. A lot of opportunity on this map to flank and get these off angles, which we've seen Carpe do time and time again, but you could do that flank where you go all the way to the other team's archway, like around the back, and then how do you protect your Zenyatta in that type of position?
Yeah, very little. That would cause Darko maybe to have to circle back around and chase him. But it might have just been the first couple of picks, especially if Philly felt that Atlanta would play super far forward, knowing that Philly don't actually have that far in the grand scheme of things. So push the map, take it.
I think when you see Sato have Reinhardt, you need Zarya in that type of situation to keep him up. You really wouldn't run like if you saw Poco playing Zarya and then they ran out with that, maybe you stay on the Widowmaker a bit longer, but Zarya and Ryan, they kind of go together. You can't have one without the other.
Really happy to play slow and steady, at least in these early stages. They don't want to spend too long in this choke. They're going to take a heck of a lot of damage. Poco trying to mitigate much of that one. And Boobox was actually given the shield in that case. Neptuno is cut down, and again, the rank can spam into that choke. Neptuno fell by a headshot there with Sato going down. The Fusion are playing a fighting retreat, so to speak. They get out with a kill.
Yeah, you get Massa, but he'll be back pretty quick as Lucio gives him some speed, gets right back into the fight.
You can't really exploit his absence, right?
Yeah, Philly hasn't really backed out all the way though. They still have a few players there. They're using their speed boost to try and get Sato right back into the action. But now both teams coming back at full strength.
For Transcendence, Boobox may just engage with this, and he does. Philly just don't want to be in this choke anymore. They take the fight to the rain, and Lair is the first to fall. A fire strike. What he fell foul of. Poco trying to get aggressive just to charge on out. Good response though. I mean, Massa has really been getting involved early to late fight with a lot of these kills, but Boombox trying to do him one better. It's a Cossack kick to the breadbasket, and he's out of the picture.
This will be Philly taking the first point here. So as we go into the second stage of the map, see where Atlanta decides to play. Do they think they can just get to that first corner rather quickly? As Philly, you see their players just kind of huddling around the cart, not taking a lot of space and real estate on the map around that first corner. Atlanta goes for the high ground, so maybe you can get some energy, put down some AoE damage, then jump down and take advantage.
Man will be very happy if he gets an early snipe on Boombox. That's what I'm primarily looking for right now. That's the ready command land. That means that they're going to push it. The Philly Fusion realize this great disengage. They get out of striking distance very rapidly. And the Atlanta Rain, a little bit awkwardly now, is sitting on the low ground saying, well, we can't go back around. We can't climb up. We have to fight pretty much face to face around this little corner here. Now Philly, it's their turn to go forward. They realize they might have an opportunity and opening here. Poco's knocked to the ground. Really just him at this stage. The Transcendence from the Rain is going to give them a little bit of a buffer as they push into this fight. It doesn't allow them to get any kills though, and for this reason, Philly are going to keep going. That's the charge on Poco, but Asada was looking for. And it is a cleanup. Fantastic play from the Fusion. Managing to disengage from the Rain there.
It's beautiful there for Philadelphia. When Atlanta uses their Transcendence, Philadelphia can use their own, just stand there and just everybody swing into each other and nobody dies. What they decide to use is just Neptuno's speed boost. They back out, they go around the corner, and then when they come back around, Sato uses Earth Shatter. You pick up the kill, you don't invest anything else after that.
Kafe in a great spot here. Very happy to have the Graviton Surgeon. Let it go as quickly as possible. Sound barrier used by the Rain, but it's going to be a self-destructing over the top. No victims saved from that. But now Philly, they lay in their support ultimate. That's interesting. And a beautiful finish there from Sato. Just to secure the fight. But Matt, really, they had everything they needed. We're going to map 5, ladies and gentlemen. It wouldn't be a Philly match without it. Very straightforward attack for the Fusion there, and they make up for their slight gap on Volskaya Industries. We'll see you in a moment, ladies and gentlemen, for the tiebreaker. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As myself and Mr. Matt Morello discussed earlier on in the series, it may not always be sunny in Philadelphia, but it always seems to be map 5. Once again, they make it very, very difficult. We take it all the way. I say that, though, but that Dorado match was definitely pretty one-sided.
Yeah, that was the first map in this series that I think we've seen like one team really come out and like dominate in a way. I think it's just, Philly, they started to really kind of get ahead in terms of ultimate economy, use those ults combo together, and I think really, the fight that decides it is when Atlanta uses their Transcendence, tries to come around the corner. Philly invests nothing into that. They back out. They use the speed boost to get everybody out. Just use Earth Shatter to win that fight, and then they have everything for the end.
I mean, and that is kind of what you hedge yourself into when you're playing a triple tank, triple support comp based around a Reinhardt, right? You have to telegraph when you want to engage, or you do it from the high ground and try and get the drop literally on your enemies. But when we hear that rally sound, or we hear Brigitte saying everyone to me, generally you know that one of the teams is trying to start the fight. That's how they herald it. So great job by Philly identifying that. They just backed up beautifully. A lot of teams could take note from that. Erster is back, though. And that excites me for many reasons, but also because we may see him get to play a little bit more of that DPS role. Of course, as we do into our map 5, it is going to be of the control variant, which does often allow for some more of those crazy plays and more of those individual moments of brilliance.
Yeah, I'd love to see both teams run out in like a quad DPS setup. Why not? Let Defran and Carpe go at it like we saw on Nepal. But
well, you were saying you walked past Defran and Poco in the hallway this morning.
Oh yeah. I was going to the bathroom. We were in the players' hall now. Poco was leaving as well. Then as we were both leaving, Defran's walking by, and Defran was kind of joking around, like, "Oh, we're gonna beat you guys today." And Poco was like, "Why are you coming at me?" And
what a chat! Straight chat, just gorgeous him in the hallway.
I love it.
High school?
No, I love it, man. Look, it's competition, right? You got guys like I love the Super and Sinatra and Baby Bay, like guys like that, like they just walk with a little swagger about it. Defran seems to have that as well. I love it.
Well, we did hear from Super as well last night saying he'd love a little bit more spice in the league, and I think you've got players across both of these teams that are willing to provide that. And we're going to get some on this particular map. Ilios, of course, will be our control map here. We had Nepal at the very beginning of the series, which was a very interesting affair. It led to an excellent stand. We need to replicate that once more. Dogman had some fantastic moments on that Dorado as well. It's a shame because on Volskaya, where Atlanta actually prevailed, Dogman had some issues. He was getting cut off of his team. He got like a quad kill in that previous match.
Yeah,
really fantastic.
I think you could see, from how Philly was going after Dogman, trying to kill him early, that he was making that much of an impact. So we kick off the game 5. Both teams running out with the constant. They've been running pretty much the whole time. Philly with the Winston, Atlanta with the Reinhardt.
And again, these two different styles is probably something that the Fusion's trying to play to. Many people say that just the composition of features of the Reinhardt is better. And Sato goes in. He was well ahead of the rest of his team, and he gets punched up. Turned into wood chippings.
And that's where the running the Winston's a bit tougher.
It's a 2-for-2. It's a 3-for-2. The Philly. I love this. Again, they back up. They say, Atlanta have to get in our face. They have to really walk up to us. We can use this against them. They disengage. Dogman's so low on the point. He gets a Zarya bubble, but it's only temporary solace as Sato slams into him. Neptuno finds the finish. That is very clever to disengage that way. Now using Atlanta's aggression against them.
One of the rare fights where we see a main tank die early, and then that team ends up coming out on top of the fight, especially with no ultimates to kind of bail you out. Atlanta commits, they go all the way in. Philly able to salvage that fight.
Sato switches to Reinhardt here as well. Just saying, okay, well, it's probably a little bit safer if I don't play the Winston here. Let's match our Reinhardt's up and see who's going to be the king of shatters. And you can see Poker really trying to keep Sato in that cone of silence in the defense matrix. Now with the Transcendence, he played it. Want to come forward, Sato? Oh no, where is he? Did he get blown? He's not over. And the rest of the Fusion really don't have a leg to stand on after losing Sato in that fight. Absolutely brutal. Especially that Transcendence was committed by Philly to try and stay in there.
And I want to see Atlanta push up here. I want to see them take command of this next choke point. You'll have a shatter, you'll have a self-destruct to use. We can see this is where
you went over. Centimeter perfect. I love it so much. Poco playing the corner. Not going to give him too much ground here. Picks out too much rally and play for the Fusion now. They need to do something with his ultimate. Neptuno falls. Poco doesn't manage to make the shadow work. And he falls to the self-destruct. Good timing on the charge from Sato to set that up. Poco Poco has to double back here. Self-destruct was thrown in by Darko, and he gets Sato as well. Both lines falling out of the self-destruct war. Fusion have to decide to go forward or back, and maybe they overstayed. It was a graviton from Defran to keep them there, though.
How clutch has Atlanta been in this series? The Volskaya game, and then a lot of these fights early. So you lose one or two players, they're investing ultimates, and they're able to back out. Get some things to go in their favor. Poco is over.
This is very
Back to even.
This is very annoying. Defran
Ran up on the high ground.
all day. Maybe she doesn't use the personal barrier there on the high ground. She doesn't have a lot of energy right now, so he needs to depend on the projected barrier. He eventually gets down, but he's can't boombox. Oh no, he's got in the cookie jar! Zenyatta is down with the rain. Or for the fusion, the rain can just push straight on through. Yeah, that hurts. I mean, you can't leave him up there, but what do you do about him?
When he drops down, everybody on Philly tries to go after him, and he just baits them perfectly into his teammates in the choke. They think they're going to get a kill on this. Dogman's there with the Transcendence. They end up getting all the kills in Philadelphia. 80% already here for Atlanta. Just have rally. You're going to get Shatter, Grab, and Self-Destruct. This could be final fight.
Defran is charged up, ready to go, and the fusion have boxed himself in here.
Damage.
Atlanta just get away from them to come out, but they're so low, they're going to face a music for another. Poco waits the grab though. Defran won't get that one. Another Transcendence comes into play to remediate that health issue. The fusion we're having. Sato's still nice and healthy, but Poco's making his down. Can't play charge, pushing over the edge. Darko trying to hide up on the side, but it's Buster again! Again! On the Lucio! This guy's been dominant in these fights, and the rain can now stand tall. They're one step closer to the coronation. What a barn burner match!
And I love, obviously we're out here this year, we get a great view of the stage. I love, like, win or loss, like, Defran and Dogman are just so hyped about the stage. Like, you know, when they lose the last map, Defran's kind of like attached to his chair, he's like animated, he's like kind of like going up to teammates, like, come on, let's get it together. Like, I love seeing the new players come in that league with that energy, man.
It's unbelievable what this guy's able to do. I am so happy about the talent that we really get to see come out from the European region. It's this season there. Everywhere at once. It's just the ticket. Remember, he booped Sato off the map on that first fight. We're being really treated today.
All right, here we go. We got Atlanta. They're going to be running Bar Sombra here. They're going to have dive tanks with Winston and Diva. And Dogman's going to be playing Ana here. So you get a good use of potential nano boost. You see Billy running all the way back. They know they're coming out on Reinhardt. This isn't going to work. They're going to have to change.
Disaster in the matchup. Not mobile enough at all. Carpe thought about the Widowmaker. Maybe just pick Widowmaker as spawn, but maybe pick off Erster. Erster, by the way, now on a DPS role, which is exciting. He's going to take them free here. Can he deal with the pressure that Poco's going to be looking to put on?
I think Billy's rotating around, see if they can get an angle on this Mara. You see from Carpe's POV, difficult to deal with. Winston in your face, the Diva on one side. Oh, by the way, Sombra invisible, running around.
Master's in trouble! That's an angel grounded. Carpe looking for Erster, who now just needs to stick behind the lighthouse to the Mercy down. It's huge! Making two supports! Again and again, Carpe delivers. Philly take the point back at 31% for Atlanta. And yeah, this will precipitate a switch of composition from Atlanta.
And I think Philly's going to go back and change as well. As soon as Philly realizes that they're switching on to, you know, the Reinhardt version of the 3-3, Philly knows their comp isn't going to work against it. So Carpe immediately gives up all, you know, ultimate charge on McCree up to go get his Zarya back.
Carpe quickly trying to catch up with EQO and Sato, who are very deep. Shield given over towards Sato. Plenty of charge from that one with Erster going over. Great play from Neptuno. And that cuts the rain down to size in a huge way in this fight. They only had a brief respite back on the point, and that's a second group kill from Neptuno in this one fight. Oh, get Massa too, no worries. The rain are in tatters by this point.
And I think it's just impressive how both of these teams have these counter picks so on point. Like, not to just take that next fight after, you know, Carpe, it's really easy to pop off on McCree and then be like, I'm staying on it. Like, nope. Taxied right back to the spawn, over to Zarya. You know you need that hero in this next fight. They're able to flip the point right back.
Now the push. Cover range immediately. He wants to catch Atlanta as they're on the way to the point. Ooh, he was looking for Ursa over the edge, but left Dogman instead. Just a pile of scrap now, and there might be more for Sato. Out of primal range, but dropping onto the point, his helmet quickly vanishing, but Ursa and Defran are caught. Sato, cat amongst the pigeons it seemed. He's able to knock and land around while the rest of Philly got the job done. And now this puts Philadelphia in a stronger position, especially if Poco was staggered, but they have both support ultimates in the next fight.
Yeah, and
Go all the way again.
Atlanta knows that. They know that there are support ultimates online for Philadelphia. They need to force them out. But 73% on the clock. You're thinking about investing some of these ultimates even when you get them a little bit later if you're Atlanta. You're getting close to the end of this match.
It was actually Neptuno who got shot, by the way. He was almost knocked off the edge of the map, but he's able to pick himself back up. He'll have the sound barrier if his team needs it. That was the transcendence. Pogo sends this one in. Sato catches Master. Such an aggressive charge from him in the midst of the battle, but he gets a crucial target. Now he's falls back. He was discorded, and Atlanta have the momentum and the transcendence to work with. The rest of the Fusion can only try and knock on the door, ask if they can be allowed in. Yukio has the shield charge backwards to get away from the fight, and Defran really wants to push. He's pushed too far though, a little bit too far from the Dane. Poco staying safe. Yukio working their way in, and Philly needs to do this alone with overtime. 99-51. Earth Shadow from Poco was there, but the follow-up sadly was absent. In mini diva form with nothing but the Bunny Blaster, Poco gets the job done. And we will have one final round on Ilios to decide our victor in this match.
Last one's well. You think they bring out Torbican? Not a chance, right?
Good heavens. Although I do wonder if there is a team that doesn't roll out with an Orisa, how they'll be disadvantaged. But look at this. Neptuno had an amazing fight here.
I mean, they ran Torbjorn the other day. Obviously a different circumstance than a game 5 against our runner-ups from last year, but we'll see if that's that guy. Look,
Here we go.
you're gonna go down like this.
Exactly. If it ends here, it's going to end his way. So Atlanta come out, they have that Orisa-based composition again. Very hard to shift from the point. That shield did not quite go where it was intended. It had to be replaced. Poco was able to do that easily enough.
A really sick turret spot as well. You see up on the high ground there. Gonna have to deal with it.
Poco clears it out. Again, staying a little bit far back. Ikyo tried to go forward. There is at least a trade there. Ikyo was able to give up his life to kill the Zenyatta kill. But Defran wants to play aggressive. Darko was DMA'd in the rain, has to step back a little. Only won't take his point for now. They need to finish this fight before they do anything else. They try and come over the top. It's a 1-for-1 trades in much of this fight, but Defran finally goes down. There's 4 Philly players up, only 3 for the Atlanta Reign. Brings a reshoot attempt here from Darko. Had to get back in his net. What a messy start to this match.
Still have some players lingering here for Atlanta. And Sato will fall. Logo's gonna fall as well.
Back with the sound barrier now, Ursa did the good work. He paid the road in this fight. Surely not. Neptuno would never troll you like that. And now Sato's returned to the fight. Philly still have control of the point. Atlanta went over to capture it. There it is, the Bolt core. A lot of damage being taken. Philly have to respect it and step back. And Sato, again, he's in the midst. Self-destruct there. Line of sight was easy to break for the Fusion from that one of the transcendence. Now Sato is popped up and ready to go once more. He lands on top of Poco. The Dragon Strike yields very little from Ursa, despite his fantastic start to the fight. Jumper is other plans for you, Dogman. Defran's doing work. Look at him move back on the point. No way! 2 rapid kills with a rivet gun. Ursa now being pressured back. Atlanta have control of the point here. Only 2 players left for Philly. Their supports are running, trying to get back to the point as quickly as they possibly can. Poco wants to step out of this fight, and now Atlanta are in the driver's seat.
And EQO uses rally there. They try and push forward, potentially take that. The brand now over to Tracer. Not going to be running the Torb anymore.
There goes that supercharge, and then extra damage not available for the Rain, but a sound barrier. That'll go a long way. Philly did take the point, but Atlanta are the only ones who have control. Over the edge goes EQO. And the Rain will be happy. They threw that Lucio ult into the fight, and it still paid off for them in the Fusion, but they're nowhere to be seen.
I hope nobody saw that.
Does Philly stay on this? Do they feel this confident, this confident? And they don't want to go like DPS on DPS here with EQ and Carpe switching over. So you got the Fran now on Tracer. He can cause a lot of problems for this backline. Obviously, needs to be careful not to get near EQO. But
again, EQO can't solo kill him in the same way that
you can get close though. Get close.
Sato went over the top against that bubble immediately. Ursa just hides behind the pillar. He's waiting for his shot. Leaves Neptuno there. I think that's a big reason why Dogman was able to pick him up. The arrow connects. That's two for the Dogman. Okay, you have my attention anymore. EQO drops. And Atlanta chase them off their turf once more. 64% to 55, and Atlanta are counting.
And if you're Philadelphia, what use of this Graviton Surge are you going to get with some of these players who, obviously the heroes on the field for the Atlanta Reign, they don't have to play so close together. It's not like a triple tank, triple support where they have to stay grouped up. So the Tracer can play on their own, Hanzo as well. The only one you really need to support is the Orisa, but you have Dogman with that Harmony Orb on Zen. The distance, don't need to be that close. The whole time goes off to the side there for DeBrand. It's maybe Philly's last chance.
Okay, moving up on the right side. Philly have split themselves voluntarily at this point. Primal Rage for Sato, but great use there of the Fortifier. Poco made sure he wasn't going to be knocked into the well, and Sato spent half of his ultimate just walking around. Now he's looking for Dogman again. He's been a key player in this match. And of course the Transcendence for Dogman now. Rain looking very durable in this fight. Bubox now has to use his to come forward. He has to get aggressive and engage the fight. Atlanta in control. They have the sound barrier now. Philadelphia Fusion responds one of the rows. Darko gets stunned. He discorded as well. He gets desuited and Massive is falling down. This is where the Rain was supposed to take it all, but it looks like they're running out of steam. Dogman falls. Philly have control of the point, and now they can stagger the fight.
And if you're Philly, you have the grab. You want to go back. You want to get Carpe. You want to get him up near the choke. That'll be the best use of your Graviton Surge. You allow them to get on the point. They can spread out. You don't get a good use of it. Now maybe you will, because you have 3 tanks, 3 supports coming out here for Atlanta. Interesting you keep the Orisa in this.
And hard to shift, I suppose. But again, it means they have to play so statically. They really just need to play around the Orisa, and the Fusion know that. It's very clear when you see the Orisa being used. Poco, I think he was able to get out of that one there. He had the booster available. Massa caught. That Graviton Surge was well placed for the Rain. They can't afford this kind of fight. It's 94% for the Fusion. They're so close. Ursa goes down. Sato's trying to back away. Poco gets a bit of a shield and pushes forward now, but that Orisa is worse for wear right now. Goes for the Fortify. Poco has to abscond. Darko now being pushed away. Down the hill goes Darko. Self-destruct to get out of the mech, and Master's playing on that left side, but it's just him, the one man standing in the Philadelphia Fusion. Triumph very closely with the Transcendence now onto the point for Dogman. He's keeping this one alive. Gets into the back corner. Just a drive-by. He waves as he passes by. And Atlanta Reign now trying to put some numbers back on the point with the Fusions in there. Got it. They have it. It doesn't get much closer than that.
What a match. Atlanta takes Philly the distance. Philly just at the end, man. Able to pull it out. What a clutch.
It's their identity now. It's their brand.
Yeah.
Making it go all the way. And it's kind of big brain if you think about it. They get to play the maximum number of maps each time they get on stage.
I don't know if that's what they want to do.
But in all seriousness, the Atlanta Reign already looks so developed, so cohesive as a unit. They pushed Philadelphia all the way to the end, and you have to wonder, was that Orisa play on that last fight what Atlanta wanted to go with?
I think you maybe try to get Sato in. If you keep the Orisa there and Sato jumps in a little bit too deep, you have the halt, the bash, the discord. You can burn them down. And then once you get the Orisa set up on the point without the Winston or anybody to dive past,